Hey traders, this is Houston Trong with the tradingedge.org, and here is your weekly market outlook for Jan 13th to 17th, 2020. And so we had quite the volatile week. So the first full trading week of the year was quite the volatile one. We had a number of geopolitical events that kept people on their toes, and it certainly made for a really good trading week, especially for active traders. So we do have the continued geopolitical risk out there, so there is a lot of headline risk out there, and earnings do kick off this week. So let's talk about the Econ Calendar first. A number of potentially important econ reports you want to keep your eye on. Got the CPI number on Tuesday morning, 8:30. Then we have the oil number at 10:30 on Wednesday. That should be interesting again because oil has been on a tear and now it's taken a bit of a pullback. So let's see how that continues. Thursday, jobless claims, so people are starting to watch that more carefully now, including retail sales, watching the U.S. consumer. And then finally, housing starts on Friday in the morning at 8:30. As for the actual earnings calendar, things really kick off on Tuesday, right? So on Tuesday, that's when the banks kind of kick off earnings. You got names like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, so that's going to give you a feel for how the banks are doing in this low interest rate environment. And then the financials continue on Wednesday with Bank of America and Goldman Sachs, and then Morgan Stanley on Thursday. So definitely look for the reaction to the financial earnings on the financial names, and a few other mixed names in that mix as well. So definitely keep your eye on that earnings risk. So let's go into the charts now, talk about the week that was, and as usual, we'll go through some of the tea leaves that the markets left behind this past week and see what we can gather to see where we go into the coming week of Jan 13th. So as we do at this time, we always start off with our Vix chart. So let's move on here to the Vix chart, and let's talk about the big picture, and then we'll get down to the more granular stuff. And as I always do, we'll begin with the Vix chart, we'll get into the SPY chart, and then most of the other indices, they kind of look the same. So Vix right now, the long-term chart, monthly chart, red month so far. So that's what we know about January. It's a red month, down 6.5%. Red and still going down. This week we had another red week on the VIX. So last week the question was, you had the outside week, and was that going to be significant or not, right? There was a bit of a warning shot there, and people were getting a bit scared because the Iran news was popping up. But as it played out this week, the volatility sellers continue to sell volatility, and the buyers continue to pick up and buy up the indices. So the week ended up going outside week and down. Not before scaring some folks first on the Monday. So if you recall, here we go. On this past Monday, we had that the conflict with the U.S. and Iran kind of flare up on Monday and Tuesday, and so we had that gap up on the VIX right here on the Monday. Okay, so right there we go. Here we go on the 6th. And we had that gap up, and they immediately sold it. They immediately sold the VIX right away. That means they bought back the indices. They bought it back. And for the rest of the week, they sold it off. And if you recall from last week's video, I said, there's your unfilled gap right here, 1451. That will more than likely, the question was when it was going to get filled, right? Because the VIX is meant to decay. It will eventually go to zero if they don't reverse split it. So this gap will definitely get filled. The question is how fast will they fill it? And they filled it by Wednesday session. So Wednesday they pushed it down really quickly. They bought it back again. But on Thursday, they actually they pushed it right back down again. So now we have an unfilled gap. Let's move the gaps here now, and we have an unfilled gap right there. So potentially for the coming week, that gap could get filled to the upside here because we do have a small reversal signal right here on the VIX. It'll be more apparent on the indices, especially the SPY, Dow, and the NASDAQ. But right there, we have a small reversal. I'll get to that in a few moments here on the charts. And so here, we expect there's a good possibility now that we get back up here to 1480 and fill that gap because there was a bit of weakness on the indices, and we'll get to that in the next few charts. So that's what you want to be looking for here now on the VIX is, did they buy it back and did they fill that gap here at 1480? Right now, we are still trading with full time frame alignment to the downside. So there's your purple line up here, up there. That's your weekly open, right? So this week was red all week, okay, because they basically sold it as soon as the week opened, right? So yes, it gapped up, but that's always the issue and this is the VIX product, but again, it doesn't matter which product we're talking about. If you open high and you sell right away, it's very hard for the buyer to step back up and then turn that week green, because once this purple line is there, right, that's your weekly open. So if you start to transact below that weekly open, how are you going to change that week red, right? Because even if the days are green during the week, if you're looking at just the weekly chart, it's going to be a red week. So then you have that time frame conflict. So here is the monthly open, monthly and quarterly, all right there. And so here you had a bit of time frame conflict, and so you broke down on Thursday, Friday, and now you're trading below both lines, and now you have full time frame alignment to the downside. Small reversal here, we'll talk about it in a few moments, and we possibly now bump back up here again to fill that gap. We'll see how that goes in the coming week. Let's talk about the SPY now. So SPY, big chart first, monthly chart, as I always say. Want to see the forest of the trees. So the momentum and up move is still going on the monthly chart. So until you invalidate this momentum move to the upside, the bullish move, that is the predominant trend right now. So momentum up on the monthly. You want to see this low get taken out. You know, we still have a lot of month left, so this low's not in play yet. It's this low. So in order for this momentum move here to get extinguished, something has to happen for this thing to come all the way back through here and take out this low. If that happens this month, so let's say all of a sudden in January something exceptional occurs and it causes this to come right back through here again, this will be an outside bar. Okay, so that's because it's already taken out one side of the bar. So by definition, if you break out the other side, you're going to create an outside bar. So that's what you want to be looking for. It would require an outside bar to take out the prior month's low. Okay, so just imagine what that looks like in your head. So more than likely, that's a difficult scenario. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's a difficult scenario. More than likely, this is setting up, because right now we're in January. This is the January effect, right? So we talked about this, or I blogged about this 2 weeks ago. This is the January effect. We're having a green month. And next month in February, if we break below this low, that will extinguish the momentum of this monthly move. So for now, though, this is way down here. Next month, if we close somewhere around here and we break up below that low, that makes it a lot easier for the bears to turn things around. But for now, the ball is in the bulls' court. The bears have to show something exceptional to show that they're in control. Weekly chart, outside bar and up. So that was the question. How do you resolve the outside bar? Because it looked a little bit scary as an outside bar. It scares some people, but as you know, if you've been following my work, and the outside bars just mean you need to start paying attention. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything yet. You really want to see what the next bar is going to be. And so now we got the break to the upside. That's a momentum move, okay? Because they bought it right back. You see that? They bought it right back, and now they broke outside of that prior bar's high. Momentum move to the upside now. So in order for the the bears to take control once again, you got to break below that prior weekly's low. This week we had a 1% move on the SPY. Not a lot, right? So it's certainly possible, but you're going to open up somewhere around here, and you have to go back through the range again for this move to get invalidated. Anything's possible. But that's what you got to do to alleviate the momentum on the weekly chart. So on the daily, this is what we're talking about in terms of reversal move. Right here. So here's your Monday. Right, so the news over the weekend comes out. You got the Iran thing, and they bought it right back. See, that's the weekly open, and they bought it right back. So here, this is your reversal signal right there. So as soon as this price goes back into Friday's range, you have the potential setting up for an outside bar, and that's what happens. So anytime you gap down, you come back into the range. If the buyers can keep pushing it up, or if it's the opposite, goes the other way, then there's potential for it to create an outside bar. Right, so that's what happened. You get at the outside bar, you got the inside bar. Outside, inside, we love that pattern here, and it breaks to the upside. Look, the outside, inside happens right here at that black line. What's that black line? It's the combination of the blue and purple line. Sorry, the blue and the blue line, and what's the other color line? Black line, yeah. And that, the blue and orange line, and that's basically our quarterly and monthly open. So right there, consolidates right below it, and then on Wednesday, pop outside, inside, and up, right? Till Friday, we get another reversal signal. So here, I'll show you another example of the reversal signal. Right here, but the opposite. Reversal to the sell side, right? So this comes back into that bar's range, right? And so it just runs out of time. But the next day, it takes out the prior bar's low. So put these two bars together and you get an outside bar. This is what it looks like in one single bar when it happens in one session. But that's exact same price action, but in a fractal form versus it happening in one single session. Okay, so this is what happens now on Friday. This is the mirror opposite. We have two very good days for the SPY, and then on Friday things look really rosy until the employment number comes out and it's a little bit soft. So they immediately sell it. This high opens high, comes back in. As soon as it takes out that low, this bar's high, gets back in that range. If the sellers can push it, you have the possibility for an outside day, and that's what happened. Opens high and breaks through the bottom low, and that creates your outside bar. So now what you want to be waiting for is what, this itself is not enough of the signal we talked about already. Outside bar is just that, an outside bar. You want to see what the next bar is. Outside up, outside inside, outside bar and down. So that was the gap we talked about last week. It got filled like we said on Wednesday. That got filled, so that was very nice. Now we have a gap right there. That's very close, right? So this here will probably get filled the next, maybe Monday or Tuesday. It's hard to say depending on what happens over the weekend, if anything. But then we have earnings as well, so that will definitely cause some volatility. And so, but this is a very high likelihood that this is going to get filled. You got the 8 EMA right there. So on the 4-hour chart, it looks like this. So this kind of tells the picture, but in a little bit more granularity. Make sure it's through the 4-hour chart. There we go, as a 4-hour. So where are we? Right here. So here's your Monday. Here. Okay, so on Friday, closes inside bar. I said, okay, how is it going to open on Monday, right? You want to basically see which way does it break the inside bar. So we get the scare over the weekend, and going into Monday, they gap it down. They immediately buy it back, right? This is the the reversal pattern we talked about. It goes back into the range, right? As soon as it goes back into the range here, it's a possibility to come out the other side. Price action wise, once you break above here, there's an inside bar that went down, and it's going to get reversed on, meaning it's an inside bar reversal. So I call it inside bar reversal because once you take all that high, that's the next pivot in play. Because anyone who got short here, they thought they made a bunch of money. Yay, look, I made a bunch of money going down here. Where do you put your stop, right? If you put your stop, you're going to put it here, there, or there, right? And so tick them all out. So boom, that takes out that pivot. 2 days of, one session of consolidation, that's your Tuesday. Then it pops up, like we said, that was the outside, inside, right? And pop, that takes out that pivot high. So anyone in this sequence who got short, they got stopped out or they got squeezed. So that's always the name of the game. And this happens over and over again. So here on Friday, here's what we got now, right? Gaps up, soft number, they sell it, back into the range, enough to create an outside day, right? Outside bar, right there, and continuation. So now you got momentum. Momentum down on the 4-hour chart. Now you simply want to watch and see how far this momentum can take it. Outside bar down, momentum on the very short term, on the 4-hour chart is to the downside. So does it have enough downside momentum to take out that unfilled gap right there? To 324.45. Okay. Otherwise, it goes outside bar down. You're looking for a high to get taken out for that momentum to finally get extinguished. So now the SPY is pretty much the same picture for the rest of the indices with some subtle differences. Let's get into some of these now. Qs really quick. Pretty much the same pattern. Monthly chart, outside bar up condition, right? Momentum. Okay, the weekly resolved itself to the upside, so very bullish for the Qs. So once again, in order for the momentum on the weekly chart to get broken now, you got to take out this weekly low. Okay, on the daily chart, that gap got filled on Wednesday like the SPY. Now we have another unfilled gap right there. Okay, so that's what we want to be looking for. Can this gap get filled? And this is the same thing here, right? So it did not create an outside day like it did in the SPY, but it came into the range. So there's your same reversal signal right there. Now, on the 4-hour chart, this is what it leaves us, is this situation here. So I'll explain one more time, and then I think we can move on. There's your inside bar reversal to the upside, right? So there's your Monday inside bar. Or this is Friday, Monday down. Yeah, they bought it back. Inside bar reversal comes back, takes all these pivots on Wednesday. Now look at the price action here. Outside bar on Wednesday, so they get very aggressive, right? Outside bar, up, up, inside, up. So this is a momentum move. Look, once this low gets taken out there, the momentum on this sequence is extinguished. This is also an inside bar reversal because there are guys up here who bought that breakout thinking it's going to go higher. They were right for about 1 bar. But as soon as this low gets taken out, right, they immediately get in trouble because now where do you go? You can go there and now possibly here and there to fill that gap. So we have an inside bar reversal on the 4-hour chart in play right now, and let's see how far that takes it. Okay, now let's go Russell. Russell. Little bit different than the Dow, Q, and the Spider. We have right now a red month on the Russell. So, we're tapping this broad information. I talked about it already. For a number of videos, we're tapping. We're tapping the top of that right now, and it's having a hard time breaking through. So we've got the inside month right now, currently red, right? So below the monthly and below the quarterly open, currently inside bar. On the weekly chart, it actually broke below the prior week's low, but they did buy it back like the rest of the indices, but not a lot, right? So you still end up with a minus 0.19% on the week, and we did take out the prior week's low, so you definitely want to watch for that because you did violate the prior week's low. So here now, you basically want to see how we break out of this week's range. Do we get a new bar that breaks below this week's low, or can they somehow reverse price and break above that high? So we simply want to be watching price and responding to it. And so it looks as follows: is in this sequence here, like we saw with the other indices, is you have here outside inside, pops up, runs out of steam, right? Runs out of steam right there, and below, this is below the monthly, below the quarterly open, and they come back through the range again. So on the Russell, not very strong at all. And you have that mixed time frames, right? So it's kind of getting choppy here because unlike the SPYs and the Qs, not enough juice on the Russell to break above that inside, that monthly open and quarterly open. So here now you're trading mixed time frames because you have the weekly open here. That's the issue, is that if you stay in between these time frames too long, it just starts to become a chop. That's what you're getting here with the Russell. Not as much clean movement as you see with the other indices, to be frank. So here on the 4-hour chart, now this is what you're looking at. Okay, so here, starting on Thursday, right? So you had that outside inside move to the upside. This is this sequence here on the 4-hour chart. But then on Thursday, it runs into an outside bar. So the sellers actually stepped up here on the Thursday AM session. They turned outside bar. It goes outside inside, and how's it resolve? To the downside. They did buy it back a bit, right? So it goes outside, inside, and down, inside though, right? So they could not really flush it to end the week. So it's still trading above the weekly open. But the issue here now is that now you really want to watch and see, how does this inside bar get resolved? If it can break above this high here, right? That's an inside bar reversal back to the upside again, possibly. Okay, but that's what you want to be looking for. Now, see any unfilled gaps here? I'm just going to draw it in. Okay, so let me grab this one here. We have there's nothing really in play here in terms of unfilled gaps down to the upside. So yeah, definitely we'll leave this unfilled gap right there because there's one right there. Okay, so we'll leave that there for now. So here's the small thing you need to watch for, because the selling, even though it's not that apparent, the selling did come up, right? Because this is what happened. So this Monday, okay, you pierced below the prior week's low. Like we said already, this was the prior week's low right there. Monday, it pierced below there, but they bought it back. This potentially here is just a pullback now in a possible new downtrend, because they had a multi-session pullback going up. But as soon as that low gets taken out, all right, look, it's coming back down again. So you definitely want to see if price breaks back below the prior week's low. That will confirm this lower high. This high is lower than that high. If you now break below this prior low here, that will confirm this lower high, and we potentially have a lower high on the Russell when we come back into the range. So you want to be looking for that possible scenario on the Russell. Now Dow. Okay, like the other indices, like the Qs and the SPY, outside bar up, up, up. So momentum there. Okay, now same situation on the weekly chart, outside bar up. You want to see now, can you continue this momentum move, or does it break down? Possible now, yeah. Let's see where it goes from there. And on the Dow chart, this is what happened on the daily chart, right here. So here's your Friday. Okay, so there's a momentum move here. So look at that. This is not quite an outside day for the Dow, but it goes inside and outside bar up. It's your momentum move, right? Momentum move on Wednesday, confirmed here on Thursday. Boom, outside bar, momentum. Okay, look what happens on Friday. Soft jobs number, they sell it right away. Here's your small reversal signal right there, from there to there, and this coincides with, look at the high there, 290.04 on the DIA ETF. That coincides with Dow 29,000. Okay, so 29,000 now acting as resistance. It's the first time we tested that area. sellers showed up there. You know, coincidentally, it also comes out with the jobs number, or the unemployment number, excuse me. So, you know, you have a bit of sellers stepping in there now, and 29,000 acting as resistance at this time. Not going to say it's major resistance because, you know, there is no prior touches there. It's the first time we tap it. Right now it's acting as resistance. You know, expect another tap of it at some point. But for now, let's draw in. We do have an unfilled gap right here. Very, very close by. I'll turn that to green. We have a very close gap right there that could possibly get filled in the first couple sessions of the coming week. Because on the daily, the 4-hour chart, like we talked about with I believe it was Russell, SPY, outside bar down, right? So outside bar down now. You got the momentum of the downside. Doesn't take much for one more bar to take out that low. That level and fill that gap. Okay, so what we're gonna watch for is, does this momentum move on the 4-hour chart? Does it? How long does it get sustained before it gets extinguished or not extinguished? Now let's move on to the TSX. So the Canadian index. It's kind of a slow mover so far this month, up 1%. So green month so far on TSX, nothing to write at home about there, but you know, sitting right on top of this broadening formation. So right now, no weakness yet, sitting right on top of that broadening formation. And here now, in fact, you know, we actually have a break above the prior week's high. So there, depending how you draw that broadening formation, on a shorter time frame, you're hitting the top of that. On a higher time frame, you're actually sitting on top of it. So right now, you're hitting the top of it there, but it is bullish because you did break above the prior week's high. So now, for the bears to really show their worth, they have to break below this week's low. So quite a bit of work there, 1%. Not a great deal of work, but you know, you are closing near the highs. So let's see how that plays out. TSX, so you have that small reversal to the downside, then back to the upside, and this is which maybe want to look for this here on the TSX is this situation here. Okay, so here, one of our favorite patterns: inside, outside, inside, right on the edge of that broadening formation. So this will be a significant, you know, how it breaks. If it breaks to the downside, then you know you can come back through the range. Otherwise, you can continue to grind higher here because there is no resistance right now because you're going into all-time highs. So until you hit a level that people feel is value, you know, there is no resistance right now. You're going right into all-time highs. So it's possible you can definitely go higher here. All right, let's talk EM, because EM, as I've been mentioning in the past few months, has been leading the way out of the kind of the trade disagreement between the U.S. and China. EM has not looked back since the month of September, right? So it bottomed in August here. It did a turnaround in September and has not looked back since. Right now, EM monthly chart outside up, momentum right there, right? Outside bar up, probably going to end green. I'm not going to say that. Momentum is probably going to remain for the month of January. I'm not sure if it's going to remain green or not, but so the momentum is going to be on the monthly chart for the rest of the month, unless it can somehow do an outside bar to the downside. All right, for the rest of for a couple weeks of trading left, or 3 weeks of trading left. So let's see how that goes. For now, though, we did have a break to the downside at the beginning of the week, but they bought it back right away. So it's hard to say that's bearish. But for now, right, you want to see this continuation move by seeing price once again break back below last week's low or this week's low, because on the daily time frame it looks like this. They bought it right back. Okay, on the daily on Monday. So that small bit of news did not affect EM. I'm gonna move this gap here. We got gaps right there now. We actually have a couple gaps. I'm gonna make another gap line here. You got another gap right there. Okay, right there. So they bought it back right away, and then we have an outside bar up condition. So this is momentum now. Momentum move to the upside. There's no chance here to get short until you break below the prior week's low. Then again, you still have time frame support. You're trading above the monthly open and quarterly open, and depending on where you are in the week, you want to see how that trades around that opening level. All right, so EM looking still strong. Momentum move. All momentum seems to be dissipating a bit because they're selling each day. They keep in the days red, but the momentum's going higher and higher. On the 4-hour chart is what you want to be waiting for. Is the situation here. So this is a nice sequence here. Here's your Tuesday, right? So there's your Monday. They bought it back right away. When it gap down. Then Tuesday goes outside inside. Wednesday, boom. Look at outside inside. It resolved to the upside. and now momentum move, right? Outside bar, up, up, inside, and up. So now you're waiting to see, does this get reversed on? Okay, because it goes inside and up. If it breaks below that low there, there's your inside bar reversal back to the downside to fill that gap right there. Let's talk about bonds now. TLT. Okay, so far, with all this geopolitical risk, TLT is not doing a lot. Right now, inside month. Okay, so inside month right now on TLT. It's a green month, but up 2%, not bad for bonds, but still not doing a lot compared to the prior ranges. Because look how wide these prior months have been. Excuse me. Right now, it's inside month. Okay, on the weekly chart, you did have a bit of momentum to the upside. It did pull back on the range. We got inside and outside bar and up, but it came back into the range again. So you want to see, does this momentum continue or not, right? So you want to see that, see if they can break below this prior week's low to extinguish that momentum. Now, on the 4-hour chart, maybe we'll just go there. We'll keep the analysis short. Is this sequence here? Okay, so outside bar, up, 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 or inside the end of the week. So that is your momentum move here now. You basically want to see, does this thing get extinguished when it breaks below this inside bar there? Or does it keep going up, right? Just watch for that. Watch for that. You are, depending on where we open up in the coming week, this daily line here, this weekly open will be somewhere around here, wherever we open, right? So now you want to see how price transacts in relation to that weekly open. Because right now you have a green month, but you had a red week, right? So this here, if you open somewhere, wherever you open up, if then price trades above that weekly open, you're going to have time frame alignment. That's going to be important for the buyers because you're going to have green quarters, green months, and green weeks. Otherwise, once again, if you open up high and you come back in, you're going to have this chop situation once again. And who knows? If that continues, you might just see an inside month for the rest of the month. But a lot of month left, so we don't have to go there yet. But that's what you need to watch out for, and be and manage your expectations properly when you're trading inside those ranges. GLD had a nice little move. Okay, so gold, here we go. Good green month so far for gold, up 2.8%. So green. All right, so there you go. Small brown information here, right? This low here, lower than that low. This high now higher than that high. So very small little brown information there on GLD. Don't forget the GLD. If you look on the really long-term time frame chart, this is a momentum move. We've been talking about this for a long time now. Is that once it broke outside this long range here, this box that we had for multiple years since 2016, once we broke above that with an outside bar, it's gone up. Inside, it's consolidated in Q4, didn't go anywhere, and then it's now gone up again to create some fresh multi-year highs. Okay, so the only way you extinguish this momentum is by taking out this quarter's low, last quarter's low, so Q4's low, right? So this has come back to the range again. Anything's possible. If all of a sudden, peace breaks out all over the world, and then maybe, and central banks agree not to print any more money, then maybe you get that situation where it comes back into this and comes back to the range again. But for now, there's a momentum move, and people seem to be piling into gold. So continue to see this, right? So long as this quarter continues to move upwards, it's an inside brick to the upside on the quarter. Next quarter, if it breaks below this quarter's low, that would be an inside bar reversal to the downside. But we're talking next quarter. Right now, the worst case scenario for gold is that it comes back through here again, and that would create an outside bar. In itself is not enough, right? An outside bar itself, we said maybe 3 times in this video already, that's not enough to make a decision unless you're already long or short. But for a trading signal, it's not enough. But in this case here, it's already broken to the upside. We may just get a continuation to the upside. And that long, that continuation move is in play so long as you stay above the prior quarter's high, right? So anytime you're still above this last quarter's high, this signal is still quote unquote in effect, right? So there's your GLD. What can you say about GLD? They did profit take, all right? So they did profit take at the once the conflict looked like it was easing, they sold it, so it did come back into the range again. So red week, although still up basically 75 basis points. And you can see in the charts, it's pretty clear as day here. is right here. It gaps up, just like the indices, but in the opposite, they sold it off. Goes inside bar. Wednesday, a little bit of a scare again, but as soon as, it gaps up high here, as soon as it comes in that range, we know that reversal signal. We talked about it again a few times in this video. It comes back to the range, creating the outside bar. And they buy a bit back now, because outside bar down was a bit of momentum. This is a good example of momentum get extinguished. Because on Friday, they bought it back. They broke above that bar's high. All right, so on the 4-hour chart, again, this is a good price action lesson. Outside bar, down, down. Inside bar, this means they ran out of steam, right? The sellers, they could not keep it going. The buyers created an equilibrium with the sellers here on Thursday afternoon, and boom, on Friday they buy it back, inside bar and up, and inside bar again. Equilibrium once again on Friday afternoon. If it breaks below there is your potential break back to the downside again. Although we are trading with that, that green month and quarter, right? Red week. So that's what you want to see. Do you get that time frame alignment, or do you stay mixed and you get this kind of action? Okay. Because you'll see that when you have full time frame alignment, this is when things can really trend. Like when gold is trading with full time frame alignment, or all the indices for that matter, you'll get really, really nice moves, right? So here, like in past, back in it was kind of tight in Q4, but you did have periods here where here's your weekly open, there's your quarterly open, right? Monthly open, and then you have these smooth moves, right? You can see the smooth moves, and it's more reactive, or it's more what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, it's more reactive than lagging than, say, a moving average, because moving average is a moving average of price, obviously, depending on how many periods you're looking back. But here you're simply looking at the actual price opens themselves, which are definitely more reactive, more responsive than simply looking at a delayed lagging indicator like moving average. So when you have these situations here, you have time frame alignment. It shows you that this is what actual buyers and sellers are selling when they're looking at their charts. Red weeks, red months, red quarters, or vice versa. Green weeks, green months, green quarters. Finally, let's talk about some digital currencies, and then we'll do some rapid fire stuff. What can I say? This week, we had a lot of stuff to trade this week, which was a nice trading week. And man, the story in the second half of the week was definitely cryptocurrencies. So the cryptos bottomed last week. If you recall what I talked about, I said Bitcoin was on the potential of reversing here. And going into last week, before I closed the video, I was on Saturday afternoon when I finished recording the video, I was still net short cryptos. So I'll just give you the lay of the land here. So now we have green month here now for Bitcoin, up 13%, close to 13%. We did a reversal right there. Okay, so we broke above the last month's high, December's high. Now on the weekly chart, we had that reversal right here going into the new week. So this is what I said going into this coming week, is that I had been short from up here, and I had held positions and I had other cryptos short. Once that changed and we had the new week, I basically closed out all my shorts. And within, let's say 24 hours, I was long a lot of cryptos, a lot of names, and it worked out quite nice. Some of these cryptos really moved. At one point, I was long 12 cryptocurrency coins. So you name it, I was long it on Bitfinex, and what can you say? It was a really, really nice rally, and myself and a couple other guys in the chat room I'm with caught a really nice portion of it. So here's the price action right there on the daily chart. So let's talk about Bitcoin. So here now, so there's the coming week, inside part last week, right? It pops up but comes back down again. It was a risk that I was going to go inside bar reversal back to the downside and invalidate this move. It did not do that. It broke above the prior week's high, and that's when I basically got flat all my cryptos and all my crypto shorts and started to look for longs aggressively, because this is a significant reversal. Because if you can break above the weekly high and the monthly high, this sets up for a very, very big reversal. So one of my best trades of the week came from BTCUSD, which if you don't follow cryptos, was up, not bad, was up a meager 46% on Friday. So here was a really, really nice situation, a nice reversal. So in the monthly here, you have an inside bar down, inside bar reversal back to the upside, right? So we know the pattern now. Once it comes back up to the range, immediately going after that pivot, right? That pivot and that pivot. And they took them all out, a little bit more as well. Okay, so there's your monthly reversal on BSV. Here on BSV on the weekly chart, actually not, they reversed actually a few weeks ago. So I've been watching BSV, but I had been holding back on getting along because the rest of the crypto market was still going down. So I held off until this past week. So this past week here, so here's your week, brand new week, and you're trading at the highs. Now looking for, this is still the first leg up. So here, inside bar right there. Okay, and where I actually got long was, because I'm waiting for either a pullback, like a pullback where you have some lower lows, or sometimes pullbacks don't happen and it's just a consolidation happens across time, and that's what we got with BSV. So with BSV on my setup was this. So we know the daily bar is right there, inside bar. If it goes inside bar up, we like that situation, but you might want to get in earlier. So via the 8-hour chart, I get in right here on the inside bar reversal on the 8-hour chart. Why? Because the understanding is that if this works, it's going to take out that pivot and that pivot, right? Because these are the next pivots in line, and that will cause the break of the inside day, right? That creates the break of the inside day there. So there you go, 8-hour intraday move. Starts off pretty slow, right? You have 2 days here. This is sorry, not 2 days, but basically a full day where not a lot happens, and then off to the races on Friday, right? So there you go. There's your, your 45% move, and this ends up being a trade that goes up to about plus, I want to say plus 15R, somewhere around there at its peak. And of course, I don't catch the full 15R. I'm legging out and taking profits along the way, but yeah. Going after some of these pivots that we talk about on higher time frames, but that was a very nice trade on BSV, and still long over 10 coins right now. So expecting the move to go higher, because some of these names like something like let's say an XMR USD, which is a bit Phoenix, you have a lot of these patterns. I'll scroll down here, outside bar and down on the monthly, that pivot's in play right there, because once you come up through here, the next pivot is there. Right, outside bar, that's momentum, and down. Anyone who got short down here, right? We know this pattern now. And who got short down here, we're going to cover, right? If you don't cover, you're going to get stopped out because they're going after that pivot. That's exactly what they're going after. And unless some news comes out that changes the narrative, then right now that's the pivot in play. 67.39.30, 67.39.3. All right, so let's do some rapid fire now. So crypto's like another great move. And first leg up on that move. So let's talk about some other names. Let's get into some rapid fire charts now. So the coming week, here's some interesting names. This week, frankly, we have a lot those financials reporting, so that's going to take up a lot of focus. You want to see where that takes us, and so for now, these names here, just keep your eye on them. CGC, so Canopy. Outside inside on the week, right? So you want to see how that resolves itself. Only issue here now is that you're still trading inside month, so you really need to be able to break above one side of this range. So you either got to break above, right, the highs or the lows of last month's ranges in order for this thing not to stay inside month. And right now, you're not close to doing that, right? So this is the challenge in that CGC. Something to watch for, but until you break out of that range, it's still range trading. It's kind of choppy, to be honest, and it's tight, and you need to understand and know what the situation is and the context you're trading in. Okay, let's talk about Expedia. Same sort of pattern. Outside, inside, possibly now. That breaks, is going after that pivot there. Okay, USAT, smaller name, not as much volume, so watch out for this name. Outside, inside, a little bit tight though. You can see how tight that trading is. This means you got inside on the month, but waiting for this thing to break, because once this thing breaks, you're going to be off for the races. But you definitely want to see how it breaks. You got earnings not until February, so let's see if that thing breaks. On the weekly chart now, it's getting close, right? So if this thing breaks on either side of that range, you could test that monthly high or low. That could put this thing really in play. DDS, Dillard's. Another outside inside pattern. Okay, here's the monthly low right there, so that's why we want to wait and see how this breaks, because you could potentially be breaking below the prior month's low and that would break the, actually it's very close actually, let's move the monthly right there. Then you can get very close and perhaps come back through this range here on the monthly. Honeywell, same pattern. Okay, outside inside, this may take the Dow higher if it breaks to the upside, so that one's there would be strong for the Dow. And Cena, a lot of Asian, ADRs are ADR stocks looking strong. Here's the one here, outside inside, closing near the highs of this week, can break to the upside. You have right now a lot of broad-based participation across a lot of sectors and stocks. So right now it's hard for the markets to kind of reverse itself because there's a lot of, as I said already, a lot of participation across stocks. So you're not seeing a lot of potential right now for the markets to really reverse. So for me anyways, the bias is higher, although in the very short time frame you might see some profit taking and folks trying to fill those gaps we talked about earlier. Let's do a few rapid fire names and then we'll wrap things up. Let's talk about some of the really high flyers, some of the stars for now. CSIQ, this has been the name on our watch list for a while now. This buyers just continue to buy this thing up, keeping it near its highs for the for the past several months. Tesla, what can you say, right? Elon, he did his dance this past week and basically danced on the graves of those shorts. And who got short or stayed short is now getting run over. So yeah, this stock is on fire. People keep buying it. Apple, another name that, if this thing keeps going higher like this, it's very hard to make the case for a bearish reversal because this thing is now going momentum higher. It was momentum move here and up. Now it's momentum once again here. So this could pull back here and fill this gap. That's very possible. But right now, man, Apple, what a stock. On the weekly chart, look at that. Right? Outside bar, up, up, up. That's momentum on the weekly chart. So you need to see this low get taken out. That's 4.3% lower. So you need to see this thing flush 4% plus in order to reverse that momentum situation. So very, very strong so far. Continue to watch for that. So I'm just going to continue moving this lineup to see how far Apple can go. WDC. This guy here has been a tear for the past couple weeks. So, sorry, on the wrong time from here. Daily now. Just going lobbying higher and higher. And a couple of more names here. Shopify, what can you say? Good Canadian company. This thing here is grinding higher. All-time highs this past week. And a lot of these names I mentioned already, like these Chinese ADRs. JD, look at that move. JD into it looks like yearly highs, right? So you have to go back here to June 2018. Sorry, this is July 2018. We claim that range. And names like Baba, all right? So there's a lot of them. Baba, look at the strength of Baba. Okay, so this U.S.-Chinese conflict is definitely a trade war is not affecting names like JD Baba, and I think even games like is Baidu doing better? Yeah, look at Baidu coming out of the slumps that it was in. We'll look at a higher time frame chart here. It had been slumping for a while, right? And now you can see it basically bottomed out back in here. Look, I'll go one more time frame up. Right, so bottom right there in November. Look. Inside, pop to the upside. So it doesn't get any cleaner than that. Now coming back through the range. And in short, in this sequence here, where do you get out? Because possibly that comes back up here and takes that pivot. Okay, let's talk about some dogs now. Unfortunately, steel names are not looking well. So the steel names are getting hurt. So look at Allegheny. ATI, ouch. Tough couple of weeks, tough couple of months, to be honest. Same thing with X. US Steel, the US names are not doing well. So this trade war is not good for these guys. US Steel getting hurt. Cummins, same thing. So here's another industrial company here that's not doing well in this last couple weeks from the outcome of that trade war. Tilray, marijuana names, man, this guy has not found his bottom yet. So Tilray continues to go lower and lower. We're getting, we're into those all-time lows. There are no newer, there's no support here. These are all-time lows here. Cargill, another name that's not doing so hot. Another dog here. Pow on Thursday. Outside bar and down, momentum to the downside. One final one, Goose. So man, Goose getting hurt, hitting nearly at these multi-year lows here. June, getting close to it, getting right there. And this is kind of one of the breaks that I've been waiting for to watch. Is this right there? Outside, inside, and down on the month. So that's coming back through the range now, possibly going back through there and taking out that low and going further down. So there's your there's your chart on Goose. So that's a wrap for this week's video. Thanks once again for spending time with me, and seeing through all these charts. If you find this video useful, please give it a big thumbs up on YouTube. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section, either on YouTube or on our blog at thetradingedge.org. as well. If you have any comments and questions, always feel free to leave them there. Happy to answer them. And as always, click subscribe. So if you want the videos right away as soon as they're published, click subscribe, then you'll get the little notification and you can watch it as soon as they're published. So I hope you have a fantastic trading week next week, and I wish you happy trading. All the best.